Yes. Yes, sirree. Yes, sirree. So I see we got John Lance and Mr. Pirate Brain in the house. And that's a good thing because I appreciate them, man. I really do. So, how has everybody been doing? I've been doing good. I can't complain. I'm 50% vaccinated. Things are getting back to normal. Praise God. And John Lance, Mr. Pirate Brain. How am I doing? I'm doing well, man. I am doing very well. I really can't complain. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it is all good. How have you all been doing? I've been doing good. I really, like I said, I can't complain. It's all good. So, Reggie Dillard, what's up, my brother? Good to see that you are here. We are going to cover some good stuff today, man. Um, I want to thank everybody who, on the last live stream, we talked in great length about what's next, and I wanted to be able to provide the community the best possible information going forward. I realized that to recap for those of you who missed it. Um, hey, Trusty Studio, what's up, brother? Stopping in for a minute. Listen, I appreciate you doing that, man. I miss you, man. I really do. I miss being in the saddle. You know what I'm saying? But it's good that everybody's here. But yeah, the issue that I was having is that now that this on occasion YouTube changes the algorithm, which causes you know people who are doing similar material in terms of presentation or content, I should say, are in essence competing for the same platform, all doing the same thing. So, what has been happening, a lot of folks figured, hey, well, if I want to start a YouTube channel, what I should do is either do a tutorials or B, do videos on warm audio products. I guess they are assuming that that's what I've been doing, and that's my claim to having grown my community. But that's not all that that's about. What it is that when people are searching the Google platform looking for information about a particular product, um, I happen to rank high because I was an early adopter of warm audio products. That's not to say that that's all that this channel is about, but some folks who want to get in on YouTube thinking it's a way to get rich, nope, it's not. That's what they've been doing. So I've decided to, kind of turn the corner and provide more information based on my experiences and based on providing the community with information that's going to help somebody in the long run. So that's where we've been. I had a lot of good ideas that the community shared last live stream. If you guys want to go back and look at that, that would be helpful. But by and large, I got some really good ideas going forward. And I figured the next few live streams, I'm going to just give you the benefit of real time information, because folks can give you an opinion about how to mix in Pro Tools or an opinion about a piece of equipment by Warm Audio, but I want to give you the benefit of years of experience actually doing this for a living. So that's my goal. I've kind of shifted gears. We're going to do a lot of live streaming, and hopefully it'll be informative to the community. So without further ado, I want to recognize everyone is here. Mr. Pirate Brain, can you cover Warm Audio mic pre's with the polar patterns? That's not a bad idea. Maybe I will. Maybe I will, because the two somewhat go hand in glove. That's a good idea. Thanks. I appreciate that one. Okay, and let's see. I think I got John Lance. I just want to Reggie Dillard. Yes. And Trusty Studio. Yeah, listen, Trusty, I want to just say that I appreciate you stopping by the last live stream. Sometimes when folks get on on the stream, I get inundated with a lot of questions and comments, and I tried to address everybody. And I did see that you popped in on the last live stream, and I just want to say thank you for that. So keeping the main thing the main thing. And John Land says, I'm glad I'm good. Yeah, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, I'm not gonna be on here too long, but I'm gonna got my notes in front of me. Deal with a few of the notes. And we're gonna talk about microphones and more drums. Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. I'm gonna hit y'all over the head with some stuff. Y'all want to know if a brother can play? You can go over to my Instagram and see, if I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? But I've been doing it for a minute. But yeah, that's a good idea too. More drums. There's a lot that can be said about that, but again, it becomes a topic. I'll share a brief little story. It becomes a topic when you're on YouTube as a matter of opinion and not fact. Because I remember years ago I did a session at a studio in Westchester called Backstreet Studios. I was a kid at the time, and that was at the time. Mr. Pirate Brain, if you were around, you probably remember the Lexicon 224 XL when it first came out, and the producer had me just playing a little simple trap kit, 4 pieces. But when I heard my drums in that room going through that reverb unit, I could do no wrong, B. I could do no wrong. That 224 XL made me sound like I was the greatest drummer. Well, at the time, at least I thought I was this side of creation. But yeah, when it comes to drums, the room, the mic choice, and you could do a lot. You could do a lot. As a matter of fact, on my only record that I did as a solo artist, it's a few cuts on that record where I just used 4 mics, and 2 overheads were SM57. So it gets down to knowing what you're doing with what you're doing and having a good room to record in, So to who's this? More drums. Trusty Studio, yeah, it gets down to knowing what you're doing, and yes, I will be covering more drums in the future. But okay, when it comes to microphones, this is what I'm noticing. Most consumers, both young and old, will gravitate towards what's being marketed more. And nowadays, when it comes to marketing, you have so many ways of reaching your potential consumer, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, be it Pinterest or whatever, that the presentation is almost endless. You know what I mean? So the consumer will go out and say, well, I've seen a lot of ads for, Shure mics or Warm Audio mics or Lewitt mics. So those must be the best mics out there, without giving any consideration to the spec on the mic. Now, well, I'm going to start with the spec on the mic first, because of course the signal to noise ratio is important. Of course, knowing the noise floor of a microphone and the componentry on the inside, and whether or not the company deals with the best components going into the mic is important. I'm not minimizing that. But what happens is that folks only pay attention to that little thing. And they assume that, well, I'm spending a lot of money, so therefore it must be quality, and that's not the case. Often, I mean, it's the case maybe 75% of the time, but the remaining 25% of the time you ignore all the detailed things that you should be paying attention to. So when you get a company like Lewitt Audio and they come along and design great product, automatically the assumption is because it's so affordable, without even giving any consideration to all the detail about marketing, about manufacture, etc. Oh, because it's so cheap, it must be cheap. No, there's a certain company out there that's, I ain't putting them on blast, but they making kind of like somewhat whack product, and got a little lucky with a pop artist that that was promoting, and they won a Grammy, and they used their product, and the product garnered the company the by de facto Grammy because they used the product. So that's their claim to fame. When that just worked in that circumstance, they got lucky. But there's a company like Lewitt that comes along and has great engineers, great technology, a good sense of manufacture, and they people, oh, it must be, can't be that good. But I'm gonna debunk that right now, because let me show you something really quick. Most people, when they are out buying a mic, they look at this. They look at this frequency response curve and say, oh, it goes from 20 to 20 with a slight fall off. So it may be good for, this, that. Oh, it's got a slight bump at about maybe 3 or 4K, and another slight bump at about maybe 8 to cresting off at a bit at 10K. So, it might be a decent microphone. It might be. It might not be. Because all you're looking at is just the frequency response. You know what I mean? You can't judge. I take that back. There are certain microphones you can judge by the frequency response curve alone. And let me say this. There's probably about 3 companies that have been bellwethers in microphone manufacture: Shure, Neumann, and AKG. When you look at those curves, you're almost guaranteed, oh, yeah, that's going to be perfect. Okay? When I was pretty much starting out, you guys probably heard me say this before. I was after the look of the mic, and along came the company CAD, Cornea Audio Devices, and they had the Equitech, I think it was 200, and it was this big microphone that took 2 9-volt batteries, and I was like, that's got to be as good as a Telefunken. But in my heart of hearts, I knew it wasn't a Telefunken. You know what I mean? The response on it probably was good. It looked good, but could it serve my needs? Now, at the time, I only had a limited budget. So do I spend, I think $500 at the time for this microphone, or do I save up and get something that's going to be versatile over the long haul on many types of instruments, that's built to a demanding spec by a respectable company? I went with the latter. I wound up buying my first AKG 414 BULS that I have to this day. And it's been one of the best purchases. The reason why is because, like most, I looked at the frequency response curve, but I also wanted to be able to use this microphone on many sources, be it a guitar, be it a vocal, be it or whatever. You know what I mean? This mic, this $1,000+ I was about to drop on this mic had to be able to do everything. So I kept that in mind, and I looked at the response curve. It was ruler flat from 20 to 20K. Now, I can go to the case right now for that microphone and pull out the actual, quality control. They actually gave you a quality control frequency response sheet that showed you the characteristic of your mic, the response curve. So this was a quality mic that, at the time, there was a very well-known artist that I knew through a friend who was using this mic specifically for all of his vocals and was having great success with it. And I was like, okay, well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. So when you're choosing a mic, yeah, that was the exception to the rule. You could use the frequency response curve, but don't limit yourself to looking at just that curve. There's one thing you need to really pay attention to when you're buying your first mic. That's this. The frequency response curve, or the pickup pattern within the field of frequency. Now, why is this important? For one reason alone. The habit amongst many is, I'm looking at my notes really quick. When you're about to mic a source, there's a somewhat of a bad habit amongst a few. I mean, I won't say it's a bad habit. I take that back. It's a habit amongst those who don't really know to say, okay, well, I'll just put the mic up and then go to the EQ plugin and EQ it to taste. But when you look at this particular slide, look at A really quick. And you see the frequency responses off to the side. 125, 250, 500, 1000. Each are represented by a color. Now, when you are trying to decipher what it is that you're looking at, let's jump over to B really quick. You see where it says 0 degrees? That is you standing directly in front of that microphone. Directly in front of the microphone. You are 0 degrees on axis with the capsule of the microphone. Off to your right at 1 o'clock is 30 degrees. Off to your left is a negative 30 at 11 o'clock. Off to your right at 2 o'clock is 60 degrees off axis. But look at and the little hash marks and the different colors that you have happening. You have different frequencies that if you move on or off axis with the capsule, it changes the timbre and the color of the microphone. We always want to put the microphone up and that's the only position no. If you move the mic slightly, if you turn the capsule slightly, you might color the microphone different because the microphone is like an eardrum. If you put your hand over your ear right now, it's going to change how your ear perceives sound. So if you take that microphone and turn it off axis, even just a little bit, maybe that overly sibilant vocal becomes less sibilant because you change the axis of the pickup. That's why it's very important when you're buying a mic to look at this stuff, to decipher. Now, on your left, you have a hypercardioid pattern, okay? Or supercardioid, that might be. No, it's not super, that's hyper. Super would be a lot more narrower than that. And on the right is cardioid, okay? But look at how the character on 0 degrees, and when you go to 60 degrees on A, let's look at A real quick. 60 degrees off axis. Look what happens at 16,000. Look what happens at 8K. It changes the color of the mic because you're off axis with that sound now. And on your left, if you're at, I guess left in this case would be negative 60 degrees. Look what happens at 8K. It's almost invisible. If it's not buried beneath the red, so you got to learn to look at that and see, well, when I'm moving the mic, what will be the habit of the microphone if I did this, or if I did that, or if I moved it one way or the other. Better yet, you buy it from someone like Sweetwater and you happen to do your due diligence and you looked at, okay, well, yeah, it seems like this might work for me based on the field, the pickup pattern, from a field perspective, which is what we're looking at, the field of, whether we're on or off axis with the capsule. It looks like it might work for me. You get it in the studio and suddenly you start playing with it. It's like, oh snap, this really works good. You know? Or oh snap, this is absolutely whack. It's going back because I need something that's gonna work if I can turn. And also you gotta remember, um, your acoustics play a big role in your overall sound. So having that built-in flexibility, is like the greatest thing. You know what I mean? To be able to move the mic slightly. Now, some mics are more sensitive than others. That's a good thing, especially if it's very sensitive when you're turning the mic left or right to get a different color out of the microphone. So keeping those things in mind. Let's jump to some questions really quick. Reggie Dillard, I have a U87 AI and my voice sounds better on my old MXL. You know, sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens. You know what I mean? That and I wouldn't fret, you know. You got to like what you like. And if it's working for you and you go and make a hit out of a hit song, because there are people that have recorded on lesser quality product and it's gone platinum. You know what I mean? It's funny that you're saying that also because and my brain will, when I get these comments, my brain starts to go 1,000 miles a minute. It's funny how companies really take advantage of consumers in that way, though. You know, there are, like I said, there are certain companies that if you buy it, you're getting quality. But quality, okay, let's just deal with that. But that may not be the perfect fit for you. Think about it. There's been a revival, if you will, of the Telefunken microphones. Now they're built in America. I think before years ago they were German made, and now they're manufactured in America. They've provided a great resource on their website where you can listen to each and every one of those microphones. You know what I mean? And you find the one that you think may suit you, and if it does, great. Just because it has a big capsule or if it has great spec, it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, it'll work for you personally. Case in point, I was about 2016. I was working on my second record, which I wound up just abandoning altogether for many reasons that I won't get into right now. But I was going through overheads, right, for the drums, and on my last record I used my AKG C3000s on a couple of cuts, and I really like it. If you don't have to hit hard, they really pick up, and they pick up well. The capsule's not that big, but they do sound great on drums. But in this particular circumstance, I was looking for. I'm playing a different kit, still the same type of wood, different cymbals. Okay, I was playing Zildjians this time, and I was looking for, because with me, I don't like my cymbals to dominate the kit with its brightness. So I was looking for a mic that would be a little less bright at the top end. Didn't want to work with a ribbon mic, but I wanted something. You know what I wound up choosing? The Audix i5s. Sounded absolutely phenomenal on the whole kit. You know what I mean? As overheads. A little bit of EQ, but they sounded sweet. So to your point, we can use these great, big, giant, expensive $5,000 microphones. That don't make it the greatest mic, you know? In the hands of someone like a Sylvia Massey, who has a long history of recording a particular genre of music, and she's used these tools day in, day out. I dealt with a very select clientele, but she's dealt with a particular genre and she was steeped in it. Al Schmidt was steeped in a certain genre. So he knows that if I put this mic up, it's going to sound like this in that room. Sylvia Massey is the same way. Maybe she likes using a particular mic in a particular room for a particular purpose or a particular instrument. It gets down to knowing the character of the mic that you're using on the instrument. So don't sweat it. If that MXL is working for you, let it work for you. You know what I mean? I know it was a long, Reggie, I know that was a long winded comment. You'd be like, yo, bro, I need to wrap it up already. Okay. But, to your point, man, if it's working, it's working. Don't sweat the small stuff. Go make that music, get that bag, and keep on moving. So, Mr. Private Brain said, I love MXL mics. Yeah, they make pretty good stuff. Make pretty good stuff. You know me, I'm always cracking stuff open. I want to see what's on the inside. And nowadays people are modding those microphones to sound absolutely stunning. So let's move forward. Yes, you need to know the pickup pattern within the field of pickup of the capsule. When you're looking at this particular spec, it is you at 0 degrees. That's you standing directly in front of the mic. 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock are 30 degrees on or off axis in either way, negative or positive, 30 degrees. So keep those things in mind when you're trying to examine, what it is that you're considering buying. So, let's jump forward real quick. What do I consider decent? If you're on a budget, what's a good budgetary consideration? If I was out buying a mic, you're looking at the pickup pattern, or the polar pattern in this case, and the frequency response of a $99 mic. Now you notice at 0 degrees on axis is in a bit more than a larger capsule microphone. That's because the capsule size is a little bit smaller in this microphone. I think it's like 3/4 of an inch versus the 1 inch capsule that you'll get from a Lewitt or one of the others. But nevertheless, look at the polar pattern, the pickup patterns within the field. Look at the flexibility of this microphone as you begin to move it around for $99. On axis, it's ruler flat at all frequencies just about. But you have a lot of flexibility for, turning the microphone left, right, or however you want to angle it to get the EQ out of the mic that you want. Get it right going in. Get it right going in. For $99, it's a decent mic. The frequency, the response is good. The signal to noise ratio is about 74, 75 dB, which is respectable. So for $99, you have a pretty flexible microphone. We have to, I know, some folks, they just want to go out and buy and, bunk all the other stuff. But, like I said, it's funny how companies will bait you and market to you to the point where the technical aspect of a mic or the technical aspect of the equipment that you're purchasing becomes irrelevant. But you're spending your money. You know what I mean? So you got to keep the main thing. Listen, I'm parting with this money and I need to know that this thing is going to work for me come what may. And for $99, you ain't doing too bad right here. You're not doing too bad. So you got a slight bump in the, 5 to 10K area, little bumps here and there, which means that you'll get a nice timbre out of it for vocals, a nice, decent timbre out of it for most acoustic instruments. And moving the mic, if you look at the polar pattern, left, right, or in, you got a lot of flexibility based on the frequency response. So we have to keep those things in mind, man, when we're spending our money. So as we jump forward, look at the flexibility of this one. This microphone is $150. This microphone you guys are pretty much familiar with. This microphone is this microphone. The Lewitt LCT 240 Pro. man, this company is doing things, man. I am all about a company that is like, it's a great time to be alive. If you just getting in the game, this is a great time to be alive. To get this kind of flexibility, let me jump down the slide again. Out of a mic, this kind of flexibility to be able to move this microphone around and get just about every color satisfied on or off axis, that's not too bad. For $150, as they say, you can't beat that with a bat. So if you're looking for budget considerations, I have both. Well, I have the 2035. No, 2050 is what I own by Audio Technica. And the Lewitt, I use on occasion, and I love it, man. I love it. For the money, I love it. So let's jump forward. Nicholas Flores, what's up? The blue Kiwi. There's so many good mics out there, man. I mean, if you, I'm a, I'm somewhat of a mic junkie. I have a lot of microphones, and if you're trying to build a mic locker, leave no stone unturned, man, because you just never know. Even if you just buy a couple of SM57s, people just don't really give the respect to that microphone that it deserves. Everybody should have at least two for the money, two. It ain't killing you, So SM57s, yeah, are definitely the way to go. So let's say, John Lance, you brought something to mind, Warren. I'm a singer, and I count on one hand the engineers that walked up to me and asked me. I can count on one that asked me to hear me sing off mic. Yep. You go look at some old pictures of Sinatra. You guys got to examine the way things were done once upon a time. Here's a story for you. I was at the AES and I met with Wes Dooley. And I was, if you know who Wes Dooley is, he's the manufacturer of AEA microphones. And I was angling the mic, and he's like, "Nah, you angling the mic wrong." I was just looking at it. He said, "You never, ever angle a ribbon mic dead on," which I knew, but I was just angling. He said, "Always, maneuver the ribbon microphone to have an angle on it, because the air or the pressure that the sound pressure that's hitting the ribbon can damage the ribbon." You know what I mean? So off axis is oftentimes good. Go and look at some old Nat King Cole, Sinatra singing, and look at how the mics were set on the axis. Look at what some of the old pictures of Whitney Houston singing on the C12. You always see the mic is going to have a lean to it because it colors and it gives you a different variation on the timbre of the microphone. So, yes, to your point. John Lance says, very frustrating that people don't do this as a baseline to understand what they're recording. Yep. Each of those considered a whole bunch of factors in choosing a mic. All those are the best vocals I ever recorded. Yep. You got to know, man. I mean, I think we have the hurry up and get it done yesterday. Some engineers hurry up and get it done yesterday attitude when it comes to recording. When the devil is in the details, man, you turn that mic slightly and it'll color it differently. You got to give things a chance. I understand that when you go in outside facilities, you're watching the clock. You're on someone else's dime. If you're in a pro situation, most of the time we'll do a lockout for 6-7 hours a day. Those days are somewhat gone for me because I'm too old. But back in the day, you would lock out 6 hours a time. I can't let my ears sit up and get fried. I will do it if I have to. But by the same token, you need that time. You're calling out a vocalist that you've never worked with, and you're gonna stick one microphone up and then say, "Okay, that's the mic." That may not be the best mic for her or him, for that matter. You have to set up the mic line and let them go through each and listen, and let the vocalist have some input. I like my vocal with that mic. It may be an MXL. Who knows? If it's working, it's working. Um, Tony Shepard, you don't know who he is, so you need to look him up, said a long time ago, a cheap mic with an expensive pre is always better than the other way around. An expensive mic with a cheap pre. The preamp is what's giving the mic the the character, and I think I've demonstrated that quite a few times. But Tony Shepard, very well respected engineer in the business, says a cheap microphone with a very expensive pre is always a better option than the other way around. So keep those things in mind. Uh, Nicholas Flores says, I own all Warm audio mics. Warm is doing that. Listen, Warm is doing things. So good for you, man. Good for you. How do I feel about them? Hey, listen, the Warm audio people, like I said, I was an early adopter of their products. When the company was just getting their sea legs, if you will, and met with Bryce at AES and Royce, and most recently, the director of artist relations at the company, and they're the greatest people, man. You know, so take a smart guy like Bryce and mix it with good product. This guy is on his way to banking big time if he's not there already. But they're really good people, really nice people, great product, good people, man. So you can't go wrong with them. Okay. How do I feel about them? Okay, John Martin, I blew out the MXL ribbon a month ago. You know what? I had an MXL ribbon also that didn't fare too well with me on a session one time. I found it, you know, it was too bottom heavy. And the irony was that I was recording a small bass drum and an 18-inch, and the bass drum was at least about 16 inches from in front the resonant head, and it was so boomy. Jazz bass drums will boom because there's nothing on the inside of the shell to mute it, but I found this to be very bottom heavy, and I was like, nah, we gotta switch that out for something else, man. So I wound up going with a Royer, But yeah, to your point, MXL is a ribbon mic that's I was unimpressed with. Let's see. Let's jump forward. Chad Carson. Hey, what's up, Chad? Hola, first time in the stream. Listen, glad to see. Well, I wish I could see you people, but I'm glad that you're here, brother. Mr. Pirate Princess, I like the MXL FET mic. Okay. Nicholas Forrest, I've been here since the beginning of your channel. My name is. Okay. Aha, you from Brooklyn. Okay, homie. All right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. John Martin says he likes the MXL on the bass. I would imagine that it would sound great on if you're looking to get that bottom end. My thing when I was and it wasn't like the room couldn't contain bass. I just found that it was like overwhelmingly booming. I was like, that doesn't even sound like an 18-inch kick. It didn't even sound like a 24. It just sounded unnecessarily resonant. It was like it was picking up all of the harmonics of the bottom end as opposed to the roundness and the fatness. So it might work well if it was paired with another microphone, to mic a bass cabinet or something like that to get that sub bass, but I found it to be very boomy at the time. Yep. The subtle distortion on the FET, according to Mr. Pirate Brain, sounds sweet. Okay, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to know. Yeah, FET microphones, don't forget, FET is a field effect transistor, the same principle as the 1176. So when it distorts, the distortion characteristic is much like a tube. So you're going to get nice, pleasant harmonic distortion out of it, okay? So Reggie said thank you to Nicholas. Excellent. Oh, here's another one. Nicholas Forrest says Warm 47 is great. Even yeah, that 47 Junior, the Fat mic, you can get a nice knock. If you're using it outside the resonant head, it picks up the knock, from the beater very very well. Yeah, yeah. So let's recap really quick. I have been blabbing for 40 minutes, so let's just recap. Most people, when they are looking at the characteristics of a mic that they're thinking about purchasing, look at this. They ignore this. And this is where you really need to pay attention, because each of these colors that you see for Exhibit A, which is the polar pattern, each of these colors represents a frequency. And that frequency might be very important to you, or it might be very detrimental to what you are intending to use this microphone on. The choice is up to you to make that determination. But if you don't have the information, then how are you going to make an informed decision as to what is the right mic? So getting to know what the polar pattern of a microphone is at 0 degrees on axis is of the utmost importance, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody processes this information differently. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important thing. Because if I have to or if I'm in a situation where maybe you don't have the luxury of a lot of space to record in, what do? You may have to move the mic slightly. That could be a positive or it could be a negative for you. So all these things that we really should pay attention to when we're looking at this are of the utmost importance. You're looking at, to recap, the polar pattern as well as the frequency response curve of an Audio Technica 2020 microphone, which is $99, man. Again, if you have $99, it makes sense just to buy it, just to have it, even if you don't use it, man. It's not breaking the bank, So I mean, you could build a decent mic locker and give yourself the additional flexibility you need for $99, and add another $51 to it. You have a even better decent polar pattern and pickup pattern coming from the Lewitt LCD 240. Even better, $150. And you all already know how the 440 sounds. That's a killer mic. For $269 of the 440 LCT, for bigger capsule, right? A more breathable grill, bigger capsule, great electronics, right there to compete with my AKG C414, which I paid over $1,000 for back in the 90s. You can't beat that with a bat, man. So as far as I'm concerned, you got the pick of the litter. I'll take a few more questions and let's wrap it. Here's John Lance weighing in one more time. What was it for? Thumping Ampeg sound. So we're okay. Speaking of Ampeg, yeah, Ampeg amps, man. I know from a friend of mine that had an Ampeg. I understand they put out some serious power. So if you're trying to mic something like that, yeah. And I was talking with a colleague of mine recently. He had an old Ampeg that wasn't 3-prong grounded. I had a friend of mine that had a non 3-prong grounded amp, and he was holding his bass one day, and he put his hand on the string and then touched some metal, and got a nice little jolt. So, yeah, man, them Ampeg amps, man, you gotta be really the older ones. I'm sure that the manufacturers come a long way, but the older ones, yeah, I heard they put out a lot of power. Okay, any further questions? So this was brief. The intent was to, again, provide information useful information that goes beyond the usual frequency response and signal to noise ratio spec that we all look at, um, we need to consider the details provided to us in the polar pattern and understand what that's going to afford us in terms of flexibility as engineers or artists or whatever you may call yourself, you know, because all of our needs are different, all of our budgets are different. And these, this bit of information may be the difference between you making the greatest of choices in terms of what you're buying for the as a mic, or maybe like, oh, that was, a $2,000 not so good choice that I'm trying to somehow unload on eBay or Reverb. So, with that in mind, let's see what we got happening. Reggie Dillard was the last person to comment. Oh, we got more. Hold on a second. Let me scroll up. Go down. Bam. And I'm trying to get back to where I was, boys and girls. All right, here we go. So without any further questions, I am going to wrap it and say thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, we have in the last minute. Honestly, there isn't any bad gear made nowadays. Yes, just a different name. And Trusty Studio just dropped Major Gem. He dropped a major gem. I'm telling you, he is 1,000% correct. 1,000. You see what it is? I'm gonna tell you a little secret. Secret. That people don't pay attention to. They want to argue brand and this one's whack, that's whack, and brand loyalty, yada 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 yada, without even knowing what they're talking about. Listen, nowadays anybody can manufacture anything. Y'all out there can go out and buy all of the parts and make a very inexpensive clone of an 87. All you need to do is be able to read the schematic. That's why people have these kits where they're making 1176s and all of the quality classic gear from yesterday, because it costs nothing to make. The only time the cost comes in is when you have to manufacture in mass. That's why Warm Audio is slaying everybody. Now, for those of y'all out there that want to keep sending a brother hate mail about Warm Audio, comparing it to Heritage, here's a little secret for you. It's called economies of scale. You are in business. Here's another little key for you all, youngsters. A person starts a business to turn a profit. Period. Point blank. Full stop. At the end of the fiscal year, you are either in the black or you are either in the red. Bryce is not stupid. He understands economies of scale. He figures, I will source the parts in bulk. I will go to China to get it manufactured. And I will manufacture it to an exacting specification based on this schematic. Ipso, Warm Audio is turning out great product. It's electrical engineering and simple mathematics when it comes to your finances. Nothing more, nothing less. So for those of you all want to say, oh, well, this one is handmade. There is a reason why Heritage Audio is not putting out the product or BAE. They're not putting out the product like Warm Audio. I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about quantity. He can afford to have one or two lemons come back, Bryce, that is, because he knows what spec he used to manufacture it. Whereas, and I'm not saying that Heritage Audio stuff is bad. It's just it takes longer to make these things one at a time. It takes longer for the people at BAE to manufacture them one at a time. Who is absorbing that cost of manufacture? The consumer. So it's no wonder that the equipment at BAE is very expensive. It's a quality made piece of equipment made by hand. There's always an opportunity cost for someone's time. Yours, mine, the dog down the street. I don't care who you're talking about. You ain't getting nobody's time for free. And you're not getting BAE's time for free. They made them things one at a time by hand. And you're not getting the people at Heritage Audio's time for free. You know what I mean? So when they turn their manufacturer to compete with a person by putting things on a PCB board, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, there the playing field is level. Bryce got into the game early using common sense. I want to turn a profit. That's the bottom line. So can we please stop sending a brother hate mail and all these other nonsensical comments that I keep getting? If it works for you, it's good for you. If Heritage Audio or Cranborn or one of these other people are working for you, God bless you. I am not mad at you. It works for you. I got more Cranborn hate mail this week. Okay? I'm at the point where I'm just like, whatever. If it's working for you, God bless you. But please stop sending me hate mail. Really. That's getting quite old, you know? And it's a little corny at this point. But that's the deal, man. And to Trustees Studios' point, the playing field is now level, you know? And someone commented, and I'm going to get off after this. What did I think of Pro Tools? Carbon. I think Carbon is great. I think it's wonderful. You know? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think Avid is scared to pull their proprietary software away from all of these other manufacturers. Antelope, Apogee, and everybody. You know why? Because along came Apple, and Apple got some really deep pockets, and they got some serious people working in Apple, and they are going to take Logic Pro X to the next level. So Avid ain't stupid. Avid knows which bear to poke, and they ain't gonna poke Apple. Apple's a big bear. If we pull Pro Tools away from all of these other proprietary companies, pull our proprietary software away from Apogee, away from Antelope, away from UA and all these other people, what do we have left? You think people gonna be breaking their neck? But no, because nowadays it's like, to Trustee Studios' point, the playing field is level. The playing field is level. Apple will come along and fill that void. Okay? So, we got to stop with this nonsensicalness with, oh, well, what's better? What's a better? Man, if I was starting over again today, if I had to start at zero today, knowing with the knowledge that I have of the many years that I've been doing this, it would be a company like Apogee, Antelope, or Lynx, along with Logic Pro X. Period. Why? Because Logic has come a long way, and I have been with Logic since almost the first version. Okay? Y'all want to think I'm lying? Hang on a second. I'm gonna show you something. Just hang out for a second. I'm gonna go and get you all. Let me show you a little something. I'll be right back. To prove a point, okay? It's how long I've been doing this. Before I was using, I started out with Notator, which is the spinoff of Logic. Look at this. This is an old version of Cubase. Look what it says. Version 3.0 for an Atari computer. I've used them all, boys and girls. I've used them all. Atari computer. So, am I dating myself? Yes. But nowadays, like to Trustee Studios' point, we've got to stop. Okay, John Martin says here, Warren, have you ever side-by-side compared the WA2A to the KT2A? Never. But again, they're tools unless you're saturating them. You know what I mean? Like, I'll grant you, maybe the characteristic of a particular product will show one way or the other based on how you intend to use it. That's different. But nowadays, if you're just trying to get in the game and you're looking around like, okay, well, what am I going to buy? What? you can make a great record with this microphone. Okay? And just Logic Pro X, those UA desktop interface, or something by Antelope, and you're going to have a killing record. The problem is that no one wants to feel like, oh, I got the wrong thing, or I bought the wrong thing, or my studio is inferior, because then at that point, you know what you are? You are a hobbyist. This is not a profession for you. Because guess what? When you're entertaining clients, and Electric Owl Works is here, and he will attest to it. I will let him comment. When you are entertaining clients, they want their problems solved. They come into you with a problem. I need to record fill in the blank. Now, either you can accommodate them or you can't. They ain't asking you whether or not you got a Lewitt mic or what preamps. They want to know that you're able to provide them with a quality product or quality service. They are disinterested in the equipment. Now, I'm not just talking out my behind, okay? I'm telling you for fact, having entertained thousands of clients throughout my entire career, at least thousands. Like you all always hear me tell, I got many, many more stories than I've already shared on the channel. But I can count on one hand maybe the amount of times that people have asked me for something particularly. Like, oh, do you have fill in the blank? You know, when ADATs were out, the only question that would probably break a deal or make a deal was whether you were using a DA88 or which it was a smaller tape, or if you were using ADATs, which was the VHS. But beyond that, ain't nobody asking you all this other stuff. I mean, if you go into bigger commercial facilities, you know, the question might be whether you're using Neve or SSL. That's back in the 90s. That was a staple conversation based on the track record of what's at the Billboard Top 10. That was made on a Neve. That was made on a SSL. I mean, yeah, to that point. But nowadays, listen, you either got the skill to make it on a little cassette, and it gets down to musical ability, period. Point blank, full stop. You either understand how to make a record or you don't. And believe me, I was once upon a time a person who did not. You either know how to put together a record for a client or you don't. That's all it gets down to. It ain't got nothing to do with gear. It has nothing to do with gear. Now, a particular client, to John's Martin's question, may come along and say, listen, I need an actual Teletronics LA2A because when I use it at Jack Studio down the street, it gave me a particular character that I'm looking for and I'm familiar with that maybe the KT2A might not give me. And I'm not willing to gamble my hard-earned cash on your product that's not an LA2A. Valid argument. Because you're not solving a client problem. You're not giving them what they're looking for because they're familiar with what they're looking for. Different situation. Different situation. So, hey man. Electric Owl Works said, absolutely. They care about what sounds good. And he runs a commercial facility. Chaz, that is. So he would know. He would know. I'll give you another story, okay? I think I might have shared this one a long time ago about a client that I lost, right? Back in the ADAT days, I had a 24 channels of ADAT in a rack and the BRC and a spare in case one went down, right? So, client comes in, records a entire project. They want 24 tracks, but they wound up only 1 to 24 tracks of available to them, but they wound up only using like about maybe 17. Fine. I'll store the tapes for you. No. We want to take our tapes with us. I'm like, okay, but knowing what I knew about ADATs, they can be very fickle I'm like, please do not put these tapes near a radio. Don't put them near a television. Do not rest them on top of a refrigerator or anything magnetic they cannot be near, because it will compromise the data and it will render the entire session useless. Okay, all right. When are we scheduling? Scheduling for the next session, blah, blah, blah. Got that. Next session, they come back with the tapes. I pop the tapes in. Error messages. Okay. Pop them back out. Clean the heads. Pop the tapes back in. Error messages. So now I'm going to look at what the error code is. The error code says it is corrupted data. I go to them, they look at me like, what's the problem? The problem is that the data on it is corrupted. Did you all happen to put this near anything magnetic? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. It must be something you did. Something I did. I told you I wanted to keep the tapes here because I know how to protect them. But y'all just insisted on taking the tapes with you. Now you're going to try and blame me? That turned into an issue. I had to eat the entire session, which Chaz probably can say the same thing. You have those clients where you want, okay, I'm not going to be here to fight with y'all. Okay, today's work is done. You know, I know you paid me. I'll give you the money back. We will part ways. They parted ways evil. I was upset that they were dumb enough to take it and probably put it near. And you all know. And if anyone is of a certain age, you know, and I'm old enough to remember, these words were told to me when I was a kid. Never put magnetic tape near speakers, near a television, near a radio, or anything magnetic. When you would go to studios like Unique Recording downtown, I'll never forget. One day I went in the bathroom. They had the mainframe in the bathroom. You open the bathroom door, the mainframe for the SSL is in the bathroom. The big sign on the mainframe, stop. Do not bring cassettes, DATs, or any other magnetic tape into this bathroom. Stop. So if you had to take a dump really bad, you might have shat your britches running back to the control room to drop off the tape or the cassette in your pocket. So I knew giving them the tapes was a dangerous thing. But I can't argue with the client. Sure enough, what are they going to do? Come back and blame me for the data that was lost. It wasn't my problem. But I'm sure that they rested that tape on one of them big back Sony televisions, the Trinitrons. I'm dating myself. Y'all remember the Trinitrons from back in the day. The Trinitron, they probably put it on the back of one of them big back televisions and it demagnetized it. Period. So I knew the dangers associated with that. So, to that point, I thought I'd share. So I was going to say, damn, that sucks. Yeah, boy. Man, got stories. Got major stories. I remember having a client one time, man. Did the mix for him. It was a long session. This was back in the days when I used to do these marathon mix sessions. But anyway, this was I had the Mackie Ultra Mix back in the day, which was, you know, Mackie's version of automation for an analog console. So this was pre me having the Ultra Mix, right? Did this mix, and for those of you remember when you're doing a mix analog, you would have to put tape marks on the thing so you have the reference levels for the faders and the moves that you would be making, right? Did the mix, brother, and I was faithful. You know, you signing off on these mixes. You done? Everything sounds good. We print the mix, the 2-track analog, edit it in, give you all the edited versions. Bam, you walking out the door. Brother come back a whole year later talking about, I don't like the way the mix sound. Well, hello, how have you been too? Okay, now, you don't like the mix? Well, I'll remix it for you. It's going to be at cost, but I won't charge you like I did before. You know, if you want to remix, why should I pay you again? Excuse me? Well, first of all, my time is not free. Second of all, do you remember you signed off on the invoice? Getting the masters ready for replication, you signed off on it. Another client walked away with an attitude. Sorry, you signed off on it. You approved the mixes. What can I do beyond that? Not to mention, one time I'm sitting with Carlton Batts in a mastering session for an Atlantic recording artist, and that big plick went off at the beginning of the master. Carlton, look, somebody didn't demagnetize the razor blade. They pass that razor blade through that 2-track tape, and when the leader passed across the head of the tape, the click pop, and then the producer called him, yo, what's that click at the beginning of the record? You'll listen to Debella Morgan's uh um free. I got it on my channel. As soon as she come up, click, she come singing her vocal. Now her voice hides that big bit. It sounds like maybe it's just like a part of the song. But I was there when that pop went across them big boxes of custom speakers. And I was like, oh, snap. Carlton looked like somebody did not demagnetize that razor blade. They passed that thing right across that tape and then stuck that leader tape on it and hand him the thing, be like, yo, what's this? There ain't nothing I did. You better talk to the mix engineer. He must have not demagnetized the razor blade. So stuff happens, man. Ain't nobody got no time for that. But this has been fun. Y'all be taking a brother down memory lane because I got stories, man. Like I said, this ain't even half of it. I got people that I'd have mixed for, and more than once it has happened. They want to come back into my remixing for free. I'm not mixing anything for free. Or the client that want to cry about when they ask you to submit a purchase order. You submit the purchase order for the gig, and they look at it, be like, "Yo, is there any way we could?" There's no wiggle room. You want me to do this, and my time costs this, and this, and this. Or the opposite end of that is having a client that got really deep pockets, and I've had that. And they be like, "Yo, cost is no option. If you got overages, give me a call." Okay, a brother will find. He'll find some overages. Yo, I think this is no problem. I'm gonna find some extra money. So I'm just saying all that to say this. Nowadays, it's a good time. It's a good time. All the issues that used to be roadblocks and obstacles that you had to overcome have been minimized by companies like Lewitt, Warm Audio, UA, etc., etc. And there's probably only one or two instances where a client would make a particular request for a particular piece of equipment. And back in the day, if you didn't have it, you could always rent it. That ship has sailed. So, all right, let's wrap this bad boy up. And Chaz, I want to say thank you for weighing in. I'm gonna give him the last word. He said, late 90s, I worked at 24 Tracks. Okay, Elvis the Cat. Okay, Mackie boards and 6 ADATs. Their decks, 1 spare on the shelf and 2 Alpha Repair. Yeah, man, them ADATs was like highly unreliable. I was never so glad to see them walk out of my door. Highly unreliable. They couldn't take the abuse of a commercial environment. They needed to be built or have a transport that was built for abuse. And no, they were not manufactured that way. So, yeah, to that point, man. Yeah, ADAT's highly unreliable. I had one guy come off on me. I came back. He came back with a gun. No, that's crazy. Mr. Pirate Break got a good one. Yeah, that was funny. But listen, let me get up off here, man, because I'm about to give you another story, and we'll be here all night. And I want to make the main thing, which was it's important to pay attention to the polar patterns of microphones when you are considering which mic to purchase. So, with that in mind, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. If you haven't done so already, subscribe or tell a friend to subscribe. And don't forget to say hello to the family for me. I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks.